The Grand Assembly Hall of the Valorian Empire stretched across 3 kilometers. Thousands of representatives from hundreds of worlds sat in their designated sections. The ceiling was made of transparent crystal that showed the stars above. Today was the trial of species, a moment that decided if humanity would be accepted into the Galactic Council or thrown back to their small corner of space. Ambassador Elena Cross stood at the central platform. She was tired. 3 months of travel through hostile space had drained her body. The radiation leak on their ship 2 weeks ago had made things worse, but she had refused medical treatment. There was no time. Humanity needed her voice today. Around her platform sat the observer sections. The closest section belonged to the Kathrani delegation. The Kathrani were large, wolf-like beings covered in silver and gray fur. They stood on 2 legs and had 4 arms. Their society valued strength and honor above everything else. They had brought their young ones to witness this historic event. 15 cubs sat in the front rows with their golden eyes fixed on Elena. These cubs knew Elena. She had spent 6 months on Kethra Prime during the diplomatic preparation. The Kathrani leaders had ignored her at first. Humans were small and weak in their eyes. But Elena had earned their respect in an unexpected way. During her stay, a massive earthquake had destroyed the Northern Education Center. 43 cubs were trapped under the rubble. The Kathrani warriors worked to dig them out, but the structure was unstable. Every attempt caused more collapse. Elena had crawled into the tiny gaps that no Kathrani could fit through. She had spent 19 hours pulling cubs from the darkness one by one. Her bones broke, her skin tore, but she did not stop until every single cub was safe. The cubs never forgot her. They called her Sharaven. It meant the one who crawls through darkness for others. They had begged their parents to attend the assembly. They wanted to see their Sharaven speak before the entire galaxy. Elena began her speech. Her voice was strong at first. She spoke about humanity. She told them about Earth, a small blue world that had survived ice ages and asteroid impacts and nuclear fears. She told them about human history, the wars they had fought against themselves, the lessons they had learned, the way they had finally united to reach the stars. The representatives listened. Some were curious, others were bored, a few were hostile. The Vectari delegation openly sneered at her words. They had voted against human acceptance for decades. They saw humans as aggressive primitives who would bring chaos to the galactic order. Elena continued speaking. She talked about human values, the belief that every life had worth, the desire to protect those who could not protect themselves, the willingness to sacrifice for strangers. She gave examples. She told stories of humans who had died saving others they had never met. 10 minutes into her speech, Elena felt her vision blur. The radiation damage was worse than she had admitted to anyone. Her internal organs were failing slowly. The ship doctor had begged her to stay in medical care, but Elena had refused. If she did not speak today, then humanity would wait another 50 years for this chance. She gripped the podium with white knuckles. Her legs trembled. She could feel cold sweat running down her back. But she kept speaking. She talked about the future humanity wanted to build, a future of cooperation, a future where different species worked together, a future without the fear and suspicion that currently divided the galaxy. The Kathrani cubs in the front row noticed something was wrong. Their sharp eyes caught the slight shake in Elena's hands. Their sensitive noses detected the change in her scent. She smelled like pain. She smelled like something breaking inside. The eldest cub was named Veka. She was 12 cycles old. She had been the first cub Elena pulled from the earthquake rubble. Veka remembered the humans' bloody hands lifting her to safety. She remembered the warm voice telling her everything would be okay. Now she watched her Sharaven struggle to stay standing. Elena reached the final part of her speech. She spoke about hope. She said that humanity did not ask to be judged by their worst moments. She asked the council to see what they could become. She asked for a chance. Then her body gave out. Elena collapsed mid-sentence, her legs folded beneath her. She fell forward and hit the platform with a terrible sound. The microphone picked up her gasp of pain before she went silent. She lay motionless on the cold metal floor. The assembly hall went quiet for 2 seconds. Then chaos erupted in the human section. The human delegates rushed forward. They were stopped by security fields. Protocol demanded that no one approach the central platform during a trial of species. It was an ancient rule meant to prevent assassination attempts. The security chief announced that medical teams would be dispatched. It would take several minutes for them to arrive. The central platform was far from any entrance. Elena lay alone on the cold floor with her eyes closed. That was when the howling began. Vecca was the first. She threw back her head and released a sound that echoed through the massive hall. It was the cry of the wounded pack. A sacred Kathrani tradition reserved for moments when family was in danger. It was a demand for action. It was a refusal to stand by while someone beloved suffered. The other cubs joined her. 14 young voices rose together. The sound was raw and primal. It shook the crystal ceiling above. Representatives from dozens of species covered their ears. The vibration could be felt in every seat. The Kathrani adults were shocked. The cry was sacred. It was only used for blood family. These cubs were declaring that a human was their family. The adult Kathrani looked at each other. They saw the same question in every set of golden eyes. What should we do? High War Master Thraken was the leader of the Kathrani delegation. He was old and scarred from 100 battles. He watched his cubs howl for the fallen human. He remembered the reports from Kethra Prime. He remembered the images of a small human female pulling his people's children from death. He remembered that she had refused medical treatment for herself until every cub was safe. Thraken stood up. His massive frame cast a shadow over the cubs. The other representatives watched him with fear. The Kathrani were one of the most powerful military species in the galaxy. When Thraken moved, the galaxy noticed. He stepped over the barrier that separated the observer section from the assembly floor. Alarms immediately went off. Security drones flew toward him. A voice announced that unauthorized movement would result in expulsion from the assembly. Thraken ignored everything. He walked toward the central platform with his 4 arms loose at his sides. He was not armed. He was not threatening anyone. He was simply walking toward a fallen person who needed help. The drones surrounded him, their weapons powered up. The security chief demanded that he return to his section. Thraken looked at the nearest drone with complete contempt. He spoke in a voice that silenced the entire hall. He said that Kathrani law was older than this assembly. He said that when someone declared the cry of the wounded pack, then every Kathrani was bound to respond. He said that his cubs had declared this human as pack. That made her Kathrani. That meant Kathrani law protected her. He said that if anyone tried to stop him from helping his pack, then they would face war with the entire Kathrani Empire. The assembly went completely silent. War with the Kathrani was not something any species wanted. Their fleet was the 3rd largest in the galaxy. Their warriors were legendary. They had never lost a war they committed to fully. The security drones backed away. Thraken continued walking. He reached the central platform and knelt beside Elena. His massive clawed hands were gentle as he checked her breathing. She was alive, but barely. He could smell the damage inside her. She had been dying while she spoke for her species. He looked up at the assembly. His golden eyes swept across every section. He spoke again. He said that this human had crawled through rubble to save Kathrani children. She had bled for them. She had broken her body for them. She had never asked for anything in return. He asked what kind of galaxy they were building. A galaxy where someone like this, was forced to die alone on a platform because of protocol? A galaxy where rules mattered more than people? He said that the Kethrani had voted against human acceptance before. They had thought humans were weak. They had been wrong. True strength was not in muscles or weapons. True strength was in the will to save others even when it cost everything. He declared that the Kethrani Empire would change its vote. They would support human acceptance. He said that any species who could produce someone like Elena Cross deserved a place among the stars. The cubs stopped howling. They watched with wide eyes as their High War Master picked up the human ambassador in his arms. He held her like she weighed nothing. He carried her toward the exit, while the entire galaxy watched. Other delegations began to stand. The Methrani, who had been neutral, declared their support for humans. The Velk, who had been opposed, changed their vote. One by one, the numbers shifted. The assembly that had been ready to reject humanity was transforming. The assembly speaker called for order. It was chaos. Nothing like this had ever happened. Protocol had been shattered. Ancient rules had been broken. But the message was clear. Elena woke up 3 days later in a Kethrani medical facility. The best doctors in the Empire had worked on her. They had repaired the radiation damage. They had rebuilt what was broken. She opened her eyes to find 15 cubs sleeping in piles around her bed. Vecca was the first to notice. She let out a soft whine and pressed her forehead against Elena's hand. The other cubs woke up. They surrounded her with warm fur and gentle sounds. They had not left her side since Thraken brought her here. High War Master. Thraken appeared in the doorway. He told Elena that she had missed the vote. The assembly had been suspended for 2 days, while the galaxy debated what had happened. When they reconvened, humanity was accepted into the Galactic Council. The vote was not even close. Species who had opposed humans for decades had changed their positions. Elena asked why. She did not understand how her collapse had changed anything. Thraken sat down beside her bed. He explained that the galaxy had seen something powerful that day. They had seen what humans meant to those who knew them. They had seen cubs howl for a human like she was their own mother. They had seen a war master threaten war for a creature from another species. He told her that many species had thought humans were just another primitive race with ambition beyond their abilities. That day, they learned the truth. Humans had something rare. They had the ability to make others love them, not through power or manipulation, through simple, genuine care. He said that the cubs had done more for humanity than any speech could have. Their howls had shown the galaxy what humans were really worth. Elena looked at the young Kethrani around her. These children had saved her people. They had screamed into the silence until the universe had to listen. She pulled them closer and whispered, "Thank you," in the Kethrani language. Vecca licked her cheek and told her that pack protects pack. It was what Sharaven had taught them. They were just returning the lesson. The galaxy would remember that day for centuries. The day the cubs howled. The day an empire stopped an assembly. The day humanity was welcomed to the stars not because of their technology or their resources, but because of the love they inspired in the hearts of children who were not even their own species. That was the legacy Elena Cross left behind. Not her speech. Not her words. But the proof that humans were worth fighting for, worth howling for, worth stopping the universe for, and the cubs never let anyone forget it.